This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. This reading by Luke Nelson. The Tin Woodman of Oz by L. Frank Baum. Chapter 10. Tommy Kwikstep. "Our best plan," said the Scarecrow Bear, when the Green Monkey had related the story of his adventure with the dragons, "is to get out of this Gillikin country as soon as we can and try to find our way to the castle of Glinda, the Good Sorceress. There are too many dangers lurking here to suit me, and Glinda may be able to restore us to our proper forms." "If we turned south now," the Tin Owl replied, "we might go straight into the Emerald City. That's a place I wish to avoid, for I'd hate to have my friends see me in this sad plight," and he blinked his eyes and fluttered his tin wings mournfully. "But I am certain we have passed beyond the Emerald City," the Canary assured him, sailing lightly around their heads. "So, should we turn south from here, we would pass into the Munchkin country. Continuing south, we would reach the Quadling country, where Glinda's castle is located." "Well, since you're sure of that, let's start right away," proposed the Bear. "It's a long journey at the best, but I'm getting tired of walking on 4 legs." "I thought you never tired being stuffed with straw," said Woot. "I mean that it annoys me to be obliged to go on at all fours when 2 legs are my proper walking equipment," replied the Scarecrow. "I consider it beneath my dignity. In other words, my remarkable brains can tire through humiliation, although my body cannot tire." "That is one of the penalties of having brains," remarked the Tin Owl with a sigh. "I have had no brains since I was a man of meat, and so I never worry. Nevertheless, I prefer my former manly form to this owl's shape, and would be glad to break Mrs. Yoop's enchantment as soon as possible. I am so noisy just now that I disturb myself," and he fluttered his wings with a clatter that echoed through the forest. So, being all of one mind, they turned southward, traveling steadily on until the woods were left behind and the landscape turned from purple tints to blue tints, which assured them they had entered the country of the Munchkins. "Now I feel myself more safe," said the Scarecrow Bear. "I know this country pretty well, having been made here by a Munchkin farmer and having wandered over these lovely blue lands many times. Seems to me, indeed, that I even remember that group of tall trees ahead of us, and if I do, we are not far from the home of my friend Ginger." "Who is Ginger?" asked Woot the Green Monkey. "Haven't you heard of Ginger?" exclaimed the Scarecrow in surprise. "No," said Woot. "Is Ginger a man, a woman, a beast or a bird?" "Ginger is a girl," explained the Scarecrow Bear. "She's a fine girl, too, although a bit restless and liable to get excited. Once, a long time ago, she raised an army of girls and called herself General Ginger. With her army she captured the Emerald City and drove me out of it, because I insisted that an army in Oz was highly improper. But Ozma punished the rash girl, and afterwards Ginger and I became fast friends. Now Ginger lives peacefully on a farm near here and raises fields of cream puffs, chocolate caramels and macaroons. They say she's a pretty good farmer, and in addition to that she's an artist and paints pictures so perfect that one can scarcely tell them from nature. She often repaints my face for me when it gets worn or mussy, and the lovely expression I wore when the Giantess transformed me was painted by Ginger only a month or so ago." "It was certainly a pleasant expression," agreed Woot. "Ginger can paint anything," continued the Scarecrow Bear, with enthusiasm, as they walked along together. Once, when I came to her house, my straw was old and crumpled so that my body sagged dreadfully. I needed new straw to replace the old, but Ginger had no straw on all her ranch, and I was really unable to travel further until I'd been restuffed. When I explained this to Ginger, the girl at once painted a straw stack which was so natural that I went to it and secured enough straw to fill all my body. It was a good quality of straw, too, and lasted me a long time." This seemed very wonderful to Woot, who knew that such a thing could never happen in any place but a fairy country like Oz. The Munchkin country was much nicer than the Gillikin country, and all the fields were separated by blue fences with grassy lanes and paths of blue ground, and the land seemed very well cultivated. They were on a little hill looking down upon this favored country, but had not quite reached the settled parts when, on turning a bend in the path, they were halted by a form that barred their way. A more curious creature they had seldom seen, even in the Land of Oz, where curious creatures abound. Had the head of a young man, evidently a Munchkin, with a pleasant face and hair neatly combed, but the body was very long, for it had 20 legs, 10 legs on each side, and this caused the body to stretch out and lie in a horizontal position so that all the legs could touch the ground and stand firm. From the shoulders extended 2 small arms, at least they seemed small beside so many legs. This odd creature was dressed in the regulation clothing of the Munchkin people, a dark blue coat neatly fitting on the long body, and each pair of legs having a pair of sky blue trousers, with each blue-tinted stockings and blue leather shoes turned up at the pointed toes. "I wonder who you are," said Polychrome the Canary, fluttering above the strange creature, who had probably been asleep on the path. "I sometimes wonder myself who I am," replied the many-legged young man, "but in reality I am Tommy Kwikstep, and I live in a hollow tree that fell to the ground with age. I have polished the inside of it and made a door at each end, and that's a very comfortable residence for me, because it just fits my shape." "How did you happen to have such a shape?" asked the Scarecrow Bear, sitting on his haunches and regarding Tommy Kwikstep with a serious look. "Is the shape natural?" "No, it was wished on me," replied Tommy with a sigh. "I used to be very active and loved to run errands for anyone who needed my services. That was how I got the name of Tommy Kwikstep. I could run an errand more quickly than any other boy, and so I was very proud of myself. One day, however, I met an old lady who was a fairy, or a witch, or something of the sort, and she said if I would run an errand for her, to carry some magic medicine to another old woman, she would grant me just one wish, whatever the wish happened to be. Of course I consented, and taking the medicine, I hurried away. It was a long distance, mostly uphill, and my legs began to grow weary. Without thinking what I was doing, I said aloud, "Dear me, I wish I had 20 legs," and in an instant I became the unusual creature you see beside you. 20 legs, 20 on one man. You may count them if you doubt my word. "You've got 'em all right," said Woot the Monkey, who had already counted them. After I had delivered the magic medicine to the old woman, I returned and tried to find the witch or fairy or whatever she was, who had given me the unlucky wish, so she could take it away again. I've been searching for her ever since, but never can I find her," continued poor Tommy Kwikstep sadly. "I suppose," said the Tin Owl, blinking at him, "you can travel very fast with those 20 legs." "At first I was able to," was the reply,